Honorable Mr. Delroy Chuck, Minister of State in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Mrs. Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Mrs. Grayson Stewart McFarlane, Honorable Custodies who are online with us this evening, the Director of Restorative Justice in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Mrs. Sheron Betancourt, all other members of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, you, our Justices of the Peace, members of the media, good afternoon and welcome to this all-island virtual JP Sensitization session. I am the Director for Public Law, Restorative and Preventative Justice, Julia Moncrief Wigan, and I will be your moderator for today's session. I would like to extend apologies on behalf of the Minister of National Security and Peace, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, who is unavoidably not able to join us. However, we will have Minister Chang on another occasion to notify you shortly through your custodies. Before we begin, I would like to remind you of a few what we call housekeeping session protocol matters. Please mute all your mics. During the Q&A question and answer session, please use the raise hand feature and we will acknowledge you. Please post questions in the chat, or you may make your comments in the chat if you do not wish to use the raise hand feature. There are some notices for the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs that we'd like to remind our JPs about. JPs, you're invited to share information on our justice services. These are victim services, expungement, marriage license, restorative justice, child diversion services. Most importantly, we want to invite the JPs to sign up to become mentors for the child diversion program. If you're interested, you may visit the Ministry of Justice's website to access the application forms. You can also contact the Director of Child Diversion, Ms. Vanessa Clark, at 876-469-4700. That's 876-469-4700. Or you may call us at 888 Justice. That is 888-587-8423. 888-587-8423. At this time, I'll invite everyone to stand for the national anthem. Mrs. Phyllis Buchanan, our manager for Justices of the Peace and Notaries Public Services, will offer prayer.
Good evening, everyone.
We are not hearing Mrs. Buchanan, and so I will go ahead to offer prayer. Please close your eyes. Gracious and blessed Father, this evening we join you from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and we put before you our JP sensitization sessions where we have engaged and intend to continue to engage with all justices of the peace across the island. This session this evening, Heavenly Father, we pray you bless it and to bring fresh ideas for our presenter and for justices of the peace as we contemplate promoting peace across the island of Jamaica. We thank you for always going before us, for your guiding mercies and your faithfulness. Bless us during this session. Through Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. On behalf of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, please allow me to extend once more welcome to this, our third virtual Justices of the Peace sensitization session for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026. It is the Ministry's pleasure always to invite your participation as we encourage Justices of the Peace to keep abreast of current developments in the law, government policies, and services. I trust that over the course of this session, you will engage in meaningful discussions and share invaluable insights. We're happy to have our ministers joining us today. Our Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Mr. Delroy Chuck, and our Minister of State in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Mrs. Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert. I now invite our Minister, that is Minister Chuck, to offer brief remarks, introductory remarks. Minister Chuck?
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me. If you're not hearing me, put up your hand so that we can check to make sure that I'm being heard. I'm also on video, so I hope you can also see me. I certainly, I'm sorry that Minister Chang is not here. He had promised to be with me for us to discuss the promotion of peace, but unfortunately he could not be here. But we thought we would proceed with the session, especially to introduce the new Minister of State in the ministry, Mrs. Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert. And we hope at a later date that we will have the Minister of National Security and Peace to be with us as he explained why that portfolio peace has been added on, because it will be emphasizing the need to ensure that we have peace in communities across Jamaica. That doesn't mean that, each of us as Justice of the Peace, in our own way, we will promote peace, and that will be the substance of my presentation later in a short while. But at this time, I'm going to really ask our new Minister of State, Minister Dalrymple-Philibert, to say a few words and to say how she will be working with you, the Justice of the Peace, And also to let you know, many of you know her, she was a former Speaker of the House, and she served as deputy when I was Speaker in 2011. And she's well known, I think, by most of you, but I still would like her to introduce herself and the role she's hoping to play as the Minister of State in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So, Minister Philibert, please, you're on. We're not hearing you.
Well, funny come on here. No, private. I can speak it.
We are trying to get Minister.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we're hearing
Yes,
you.
we are hearing you now, Minister. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. First of all, our own Honorable Minister, Delroy Chuck, or PS, Mrs. Stuart McFarlane, or Moderator, Mrs. Moncrief Wigan, and all the Justices of the Peace who have joined us this evening. I just want to say what an honor it is for me to join the Ministry of Justice, and it is particularly so because our minister said I was his deputy speaker at one time, but our relationship goes way back because he taught me many years ago at law school, where I learned, and I trust, and I do believe I learned very well from him. And once again, I'm at his feet learning in the Ministry of Justice, and I'm delighted to be here. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and I intend to do all that I can to make the Ministry of Justice effective and work efficiently for the benefit of us all. He has given me the task of driving legislation in the Ministry of Justice, and we've already started. I have had a warm welcome from the staff there, and I have started working with them. They are a conscientious, bright, and energetic group. So I look forward to a good period working here with the minister and the team from Justice and Constitutional Affairs. I am particularly happy to join with you all as Justices of the Peace. It is an important role in our society. You, in fact, are in touch in your various areas with the people in your society. And the thrust of all of us as Jamaicans and our government is to ensure that there is peace and harmony within our society. There's a lot happening with domestic violence. There's a lot happening with violence for other reasons related to crime. And it's important that you, as Justices of the Peace, are on the ground. Sometimes you see it before it even happens. And therefore, you have an opportunity to come in at the ground level and do what you can to assist the process. Restorative and preventative justice is very important because there's no problem in having a difference with somebody and having a problem. The important thing is being able to solve it, get back to our lives, and know that it is part of living. We have disagreements, but there are ways to deal with them and move forward. So I look forward to joining the minister and the Ministry of Justice in assisting all our JPs, working with you, assisting where I can, being part of your programs, helping you in whatever way, so that at the end of the day, as a ministry, an arm of this government, we do all we can to ensure that we live as peaceful citizens in a harmonious society. And we are on the way. Our crime levels have gone down. Things are happening. And I know in my own parish of Trelawny, our justice of the peace are working hard and doing their part in assisting us in the society. Thank you all very much. I'm going to keep quiet so that our minister can give the main address and we get into the meat of this session. But I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Dalrymple-Philibert. First of all, let me also thank all of you who have joined. And may I say, my hope is to speak for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, because these sensitization sessions is not only to make remarks from the presenters, but more importantly, for you, the participants, the outstanding citizens of this country, that you can also not only ask questions, but you can make comments. You can type in your comments, and Julia, our host, might read some of them. And you can also put your hand up if you would like to make a few comments or also to ask some questions. So it is very important that you participate. Although it is a sensitization session, it is meant to be interactive rather than just the presenters speaking, and at the end of the day, you didn't get the chance to clarify or to make your points. So you, the citizens, outstanding justice of the peace across Jamaica, I ask you, make those points. If you have something to ask, something to say, just allow me to speak for 15, 20 minutes, and then you will get the opportunity to participate in the discussion. We also have a short presentation too later on restorative justice, but the first part is where I am insisting that we all focus now on how each of us can play our part to promote and secure peace within our lives, within our homes, within our neighborhoods, within our communities, and right across Jamaica. The national vision is, quote, Jamaica, the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. And goal number 2 of Vision 2030 is, quote, the Jamaican society is secure, cohesive, and just, unquote. Justice of the peace. Peace is the foundation. Without peace, prosperity, family stability, stability in communities, and in fact, justice cannot be achieved. Progress can only be made and to achieve peace through justice and security. But right across Jamaica, there are too many problems that we need to deal with, justices of the peace. We have far too many areas of national life, institutions, various corners, various gullies and banks, where we have far too many volatile persons who don't know how to control their behavior, and at the slightest provocation, sometimes even the slightest disrespect, we hear persons losing their temper, getting out of control, and oftentimes we have violence emerging from minor disrespect or simple interaction, simple problems, volatility within the community. So justice of the peace, we want to find a way. We need for you to think, how can we ensure that we have less conflicts, less problems within all our areas, all our communities? Because we can begin justice of the peace and notice that in our schools, that's where the problem starts. Far too many of our children are engaged in fights, abuses, and these are children who are in the same classroom. They play together, they walk together, but yet at the slightest little argument, they get into a fight. I would like to congratulate the Saints and Justices of the Peace, who only recently started a mentorship program. They have rebranded and launched only recently Students Take Ownership, a mentorship program. They call it STOMP, S-T-O-M-P, in partnership between the Saints and Justices of the Peace Association and the Ministry of Education. I would ask, and I intend to urge all the Justices of the Peace Parish Association to look at how many of our JPs can become mentors within the schools. JPs, there's absolutely no doubt that our schools are not only areas of education, but sadly, they are areas where a significant amount of violence also occurred. And we want to find a way how we can introduce in every classroom some form of mentorship, some form of discussion and restorative justice, and also child diversion, because that child diversion is a very important part of the Ministry of Justice's social justice program to really not only mentor wayward children, but also to give them psychological support and counseling. But Justice of the Peace, apart from the schools, you have the workplace where people can't get along. People abuse one another at the workplace. And in many instances, fights occur and various harassment occurs at the workplace. We also have to find a way, how can we make the workplace a place that people feel comfortable when they go to work, feel happy that they're working, and certainly avoid any conflicts that can cause persons to lose their jobs or for the police to come in to separate or to charge anyone. But you know, Justice of the Peace, where far too many abuses occur, it is right in the homes. The records show, or so the data reveals, that 4 out of 10 spouses are abused. In other words, for every 10 homes, there's abuse in 4 of them. And it is very sad because there is a prevailing unfortunate culture that man must beat woman. It is totally foolishness. And we need to get out of that culture where many men feel that they have to beat a woman or abuse a woman. There's no reason for that. And the same man who beats his spouse also beats his children, and the spouse also take it out on the children. Now, that is a form of violence, and it cannot bring peace in the home. If we're going to have peace in the homes, in the schools, in our business places, across our communities, we have to stop the abuse, we have to stop the beatings, we have to stop the harassment, and we have to stop what we call simple violence. All violence should be prohibited. So what we're saying, Justice of the Peace, at all levels, we need to find comfort. We need to find ways and means to interact with one another. And one of the things why, as I go across the island and we get into the sensitization program, we're asking Justice of the Peace to be aware of what is happening in their communities. If they know of abuses, if they know of conflicts within the various areas of our society, we are urging you, use use your authority, if I might say so, and ask the parties, seek help. There are families who you have terrible problems, and the neighborhood is aware of it. If the neighbors bring it to your attention, Justice of the Peace, I'm asking you, if it is possible, if you feel that you can help in the situation, try as best as possible to refer the parties for help. In the Ministry of Justice, we have several social services that can help our citizens who are in conflict. Persons who have been abused, we urge you, Justice of the Peace, to recommend that they get to the victim services counselors so that the counselors can provide some counseling, some comfort, some understanding before it gets out of hand. Because a spouse who is regularly abused, unless he or she gets some help, may well one day retaliate. And that retaliation oftentimes could be deadly. And those are the crimes, those are the violence and death that contribute to overall murder figures. I'm happy to report, and you're aware of it, that murders are down and continue to go down. But some time ago last year, over 70% of these murders were inter-gang conflicts. These are gangs that are fighting, and that is an area which I will leave when Minister Chan comes. He can speak more fully about it. How many of the gangs have been neutralized because they have been exposed and the police is meeting with them or keeping them apart. And so a lot of the downward trend in murders is because less of these murders are being committed. But still, Justice of the Peace, we had up to last year, it was 30%, which are domestic murders. And when I say domestic murders, not necessarily within the homes, but it could be a fight between friends who are playing dominoes, an argument develop, and one go for a gun and kill the other. Domestic murders at the business place, at the workplace, especially on construction sites. We need to reduce those murders too. I do not deny that many of them occur spontaneously. They're not necessarily planned events, but oftentimes it is because of the behavior of these individuals towards one another. And it is important that we find ways and means to control our emotions, we control our anger, so that we hopefully, when someone provokes us, that we don't lose it and start going for stones, cutlass, and guns to retaliate. So the domestic murders are where Justice of the Peace. I believe us, across Jamaica, we can be of great help. Where we see arguments, conflicts developing, we need to urge the parties to seek help. And apart from victim services, we also have restorative justice. We have mediation when people are in conflict and can't sort out their problems. We have mediators and we have restorative justice facilitators to assist. And these are very important persons who have been trained. And in the training, we urge them to speak out in the communities, to get parties to really come together and sort out all their difficulties. So I know far too many justices of the peace feel that their main task is not only, authenticating documents, assisting persons for identification, but I'm now going to ask every single justice of the peace to please be an ambassador of peace. That was the role, the initial role of justice of the peace 800 years ago. They were not only the advocates, but they were the persons in the various parts of England that brought peace within various municipalities, various counties, neighborhoods. And that is the role that justice of the peace played in 800 years ago in England. And that is what we now in Jamaica will have to reactivate, that our justice of the peace see as a primary role, that you're not only ensuring that our citizens have access to justice, but you're assisting us to secure justice within our communities. Everything I've said, I know that many of you have heard me before, know that I'm repeating myself. So that it's just for us to put it into action. So I'm not going to say much more. I think I've done my 15 minutes or just under 20 minutes. And therefore, I'm going to open up and ask everyone to make some comments, to ask some questions, and both Minister Philibert and myself, we can respond. So I don't know, Julia, if you have anyone that's put any questions.
There are some comments in the chat, Minister, but just before we get to the Q&A, would like to just bring in our Director of Restorative Justice, Mrs. Sheron Betancourt.
Okay, you want her to speak
and so
first,
when you hear a minister speak on peace, what does it mean for you at JP? How can you help to promote peace? Okay. Restorative justice, as a restorative justice facilitator, is one such method. Mrs. Betancourt will present that practical perspective
wonderful.
to you.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon. I will adopt the protocol already established by our moderator. Just allow me to share with you one of the Ministry of Justice's most powerful tools for building peace, transforming lives. That is restorative justice. So restorative justice is not just another program. It is a complementary service to the ministry where we work alongside our courts, our correctional services, our community, so that justice initiatives we can promote peace, harmony, and repair the fabric of our society. So unlike the traditional justice system that focuses on punishment, RJ emphasizes healing. It brings the victims, the offender, and the community members to a safe space where we acknowledge the harm, others accept responsibility, and we agree in meaningful ways how to repair the damage that was done. So the Ministry of Justice has strategically positioned restorative justice as a service that reduces conflict even before they escalate. So this is the preventive side of RJ. We strengthen the relationship and also support rehabilitation. So this means fewer issues end up in court, less burden on the formal justice system, and more persons experiencing true resolution rather than cycles of retribution. But what makes RJ impactful is that we can even use it within our schools, reduce violence and bullying, and to foster a culture of respect. We can also use RJ in the workplace, where we can address disputes constructively, improving morale and improving productivity. RJ is really that bridge that empowers the residents build trust in the justice system. Most importantly, though, it really gives dignity to victims and offenders, and it gives the voiceless a voice in shaping the solution. So restorative justice is a peace-promoting service, as our minister would have said. It teaches us that justice is not just about law, it's about people, it's about relationship, it's about healing. Every circle, every dialogue, every session under this program of restorative justice plants a seed of reconciliation to prevent future harm. But here is where I want to all of us, especially our justices of the peace. You are respected leaders in your communities. You are the trusted voice, and you have the influence to bring the persons to the table. So we're inviting you not just to be witnesses of this work, but to become active supporters and facilitators in restorative justice. So you will not just be talking the talk, you will be walking the walk. Become a restorative justice facilitator. Become a community supporter in those sessions so that you can help in the healing process. You can heal families. You can heal communities, strengthen our schools, and you can be the reason a case does not end up in court. So let's not just talk justice. Let's live it. Let's share it. Let's make Jamaica a model of how communities can heal themselves and live in peace with the support of restorative justice. I thank you all for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Betancourt. Thank you very much, Minister Chuck. Thank you very much, Minister Dalrymple-Philibert. And now we're at a section where we are going to ask you to use the raise hand feature so we can acknowledge you. And if you have a comment to share or a question to pose, then you may do so once we have acknowledged you. I will also be treating with the comments in the chat. So let me go to the chat first, and I will start at the bottom. So if Minister is listening and Mrs. Betancourt,
yes, I'm listening, Julia.
So Floyd Hitchman, I think that is the last name. He says there must be collaboration among the various ministries and agencies. That is the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Justice, Health, Security, etc. The programs must not just be stopgap, hurriedly done because ministries want to meet a deadline. So Floyd is encouraging us, Minister, to have full collaboration with the other ministries, and that it must have a more permanent structure.
Julia, let me respond quickly. I think, Floyd, should be known that we are working very closely, not only with the Ministry of Education, Mr. Richard Troop, their security principal officer. We go to the schools only last week, Friday. We had a justice fair at Charlemont High School, where we were promoting this very same social justice programs, including peace initiatives. And we work also very closely with the Ministry of National Security and Peace and with the Ministry of Health, because the less persons injured, especially from violence, the less persons utilize the space and at the hospitals. And we also, all the ministers work very closely, Floyd, so bear that in mind. We don't really have firewalls between us.
Thank you for that. Garfield Myers, he's asking or commenting his question: what are the numbers and addresses for the respective restorative, child diversion, and mediation committees? I think, Garfield, that he meant the numbers for the program, so how you would access the restorative and child diversion program. So you need access to the entities, I believe. Mrs. Betancourt, can you address that? Even though I should make the point that if you're in doubt, Garfield, please call 888 Justice here at the ministry and we will direct you. Mrs. Betancourt, would you like to indicate the main number for RJ?
Thank you, Mrs. Humphrey for that. Yes, the same 888 Justice is available. Our customer service representatives will direct you to the nearest center to you, or all the locations are also listed on our website. The contact number for the various offices are listed on the website.
Thank you. Just before you go, Kenisha Jones is asking, how does one become a restorative justice facilitator?
Thank you, Kenisha. So there is an application form on our website. You can download it, complete that application form, and submit it to us. We will process, we will make contact with you and let you know when the next cohort of training, which we are just completing one cohort now, they're about to go into their practicum experience. And so we would let you know when the next session is due.
Thank you, Mrs. Betancourt. So what she sent, because she was a little choppy, is that you can go onto our Ministry of Justice's website, get some more information. And we would have started a cohort of persons to be trained as facilitators. And so another set you're saying Mrs. Betancourt is coming up?
Yes, so we will let you know when the cohort is available. But for now, either visit the Justice Center where the application form is available, or it's on the ministry's website, and you can email it to us, complete it, and send it in, and we would let you know when the next training session is available.
Thank you. Minister, Mrs. Betancourt, we also have Carlton Francis has raised his hand. You can now open your mic, Mr. Francis, and pose your question or comment. If you're not able to unmute, I will come back to you. The other raised hand that I'm seeing in the chat is no hand. Oh, Floyd Hitchman, but I think I would have raised your comments. Mr. Hitchman, you want to pose a question? You can go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me now, Ms. Moncrief?
Okay, yes, you can hear Captain Francis. Mr. Hitchman, hold on a minute while we speak with Mr. Francis.
A very pleasant good afternoon to the ministers and the presenters and all the justices of the peace that are gathered for this webinar. I listened keenly to Mr. Chuck, our Minister of Justice, speak about the importance of having peace in our schools and in our wider community. And there's one suggestion that I'd like to make to Minister Chuck, and that is to seek to impress upon his colleague Minister of Education for the reintroduction of civics as a subject in our schools. Civics as a subject has been taken out of our schools for probably the last 40 years. And that has had a significant impact in our students have grown up over these last 40 years, not knowing what it means to be a citizen in the classic sense and what are their rights and responsibilities. So I would like Mr. Chuck to please impress upon the Minister of Education to have that reintroduced as a subject, a separate subject, just like we have math and English language and stuff like that, so that
Mr.
students
Francis,
at primary level can begin
Mr.
to know
Francis,
what it means to be a...
Mr. Francis, to the best
Yes,
of
sir,
my
I'm hearing
knowledge,
you.
civics has long been reintroduced in the schools. I think I will ask the Minister of Education to check which school is not carrying it out. But to the best of my knowledge, many schools have reintroduced civics back into the classrooms, into their teaching curricula. And the real issue could be, is it being done enough? So let me speak with the Ministry of Education for the importance of reintroducing, civics at all levels, or at least at some level, so that, as you pointed out, the question of being a good citizen can in fact be taught.
Mr. Chuck, if you would allow me, please. I remember a couple of years ago, I met a former Minister of Education. He was serving at the time, and I raised the same issue. And the gentleman said to me, oh, by the way, civics is in schools. It is part of the social studies program. And
Right.
that, I think, is where we have gone wrong. We need to have it as a separate and distinct subject, not to mix it up with anything else.
Okay. I will certainly discuss it with the President, Minister of Education. Okay.
Honorable Minister.
Okay, we will
Richard
not
King, yeah?
acknowledge Mr. King.
Yes, hi, how are
You
you?
must await acknowledgement. I'm encouraging
okay.
all JPs to mute your mics. If you have a question, use the raise hand feature and we will acknowledge you. The next person
I'm not seeing that
is
feature on my
Jasmine Ellis.
thing.
If Mr. King does not mute his mic, we will expel you from the session. The next.
Is it my turn now, Miss Speaker?
Yes, sir. Floyd Hitchman.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Speaker. Greetings, everybody, ministers and the representative, all JPs. The minister said that the focus would start on the schools, and I would want to recommend that the minister look back at that statement, because when we check it, I'm involved in education currently, and when we check it out, most of our students who we have issues with are coming from homes which seem to be broken, and which within that environment there are a lot of violence producers. So I want us to start the focus not just at the school level, but back at the home, parenting sessions, etc., etc. Apart from that, I don't know if it is providence, but I want to recommend to Minister that you have the conversation with your colleague Minister of Education and examine the additional professionals that are in schools. You cannot have a school with one guidance counselor to 400 students, plus staff, plus parents, because as a guidance counselor, you are responsible for ensuring that the stakeholders are serviced. So when you deal with a student, you're also required to deal with the family, and to an extent you work with the communities. So we have to look at increasing the number of guidance counselors within the school setting. We have to look at, again, I go back to the whole thing of partnership. I'm happy that you say you're partnering with the ministries, but you might have to also look at partnering with private sector. Right now, well, my school was just invited to participate in a PALS Peace Ambassador program. I think we are one of 6 schools across the country, right? And the little money that they got is just for a year. So I guess minister can look at speaking with PALS. PALS have a good program that they're rolling out. If it can be looked at between this ministry and the Ministry of Education and do some solidification, build on it, pull it apart, see how best it can also be rolled out in other schools. That would be a good thing.
Okay, Mr. Hitchman, thanks. I'll bear that in mind. Okay, thanks. I'll bear that in mind. I'll discuss it with the minister. Thank you.
The other JP, Jasmine Ellis. Jasmine Ellis, are you able to unmute your mic?
Yes, I'm unmuted. I
Very
think that
good.
was by mistake. I raised my hand by mistake. I'm just happy to be here learning.
Thank
Good
you
evening.
very much for that comment. Okay, Miss Jasmine.
Thanks.
Mr. Leroy Gray, you had raised your hand. Are you still interested in raising a comment?
Yes, good evening, Madam Moderator, Ministers, and fellow JPs. I'm going to make a comment based on my involvement in the process. And my involvement is not only in the Lay Magistrates Court, but as a mentor, restorative justice, mediation, and in child diversion. Probably some of the issues that advance to these stages, if there was a body within a cluster of communities through which either the police, the schools, the police youth clubs, established and registered clubs could make a first point of contact, probably some of these issues could be handled or cauterized at the community level, and so prevent them advancing. So my reach out to the minister would be to whether or not he would consider in a strategic way setting up councils at the various community levels, where there's a primary school, a high school, the police, community clubs, to get members to sit on that body, where they can not only sniff out some of the potential problems, but be the first point through which some of these issues can be handled before they're advanced to the other stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No,
Minister.
Julia, may I just say to Mr. Gray, we have many parish, should I say, councils, not the political parish council, but like child diversion, we have, you know, a body of persons who look at problems of wayward behavior in the parishes. We have justice centers in every parish where persons can seek help for victim services, restorative justice, and other concerns of the ministry. So the truth of the matter is that assistance, any sort of, you know, counseling, any sort of personnel that you would need, you could always get in touch with the justice centers, one of which is in every parish. Okay, Mr. Gray, go ahead, Julia.
Just before we go to the other members, I would like to just look at the chat. And there's a suggestion, Minister, from Kenisha Elliott Wilson, reintroduction of the PAL program and also the Peace and Love program in all schools. That's a suggestion. And then Paul Channel, he says, a landowner in the scheme where I reside has cultivated every bit of the open space or play area in the scheme. He is now fencing the space effectively, denying all the property owners access. We're getting no help from either the parish council or the National Land Agency. How do we proceed to get redress before this escalates into something larger?
I don't know if we can deal with that now, Julia. It's a matter which he should really take up with an attorney, or the personnel can take up with the parish council. It's not a matter we can address on this session at the moment, okay? In relation to the PALS, the Peace and Love in Schools, it was a fantastic program. I'm not too sure why it has got out of use. It is something I will ask, why is it not happening in the schools nowadays? So I will check on that.
Okay. Minister, just wanted to say to you that a number of JPs would have indicated that at their school, for example, one in Trelawney, that civics as a subject is taught at that school. That
I'm aware of that.
Works, that's Donna Barrett Reed. And Yulin Beckford says, yes, civic is in school. My son did it in grade 9.
The truth of the matter, Julia, is that not all schools have it as a separate subject or even as a subject taught in the schools. But I'm aware that many schools do have civics as a subject taught in the school.
Okay. The next point, Minister, is, well, they're making June, Sachel, Logan is making a point that a lot of schools do not teach that in their schools, including St. Andrew High School for girls, still on the point of the civic. Sharon Hay Webster, she says that that's the question. Is there enough deep conversation about you live as a citizen? I'm not quite clear the point you're making, Mrs. Hay Webster. I don't know if you would like to raise your hand to clarify. And then while we wait on that, Minister, we have Novadine Samuels. Novadine Samuels, if you can go ahead and unmute your mic, you can pose your comment or question to the Minister.
Good evening, everyone. My question is if there's any plans in place.
Your voice is low, Novadine. Speak up.
Are you hearing me better?
A little bit, but speak up louder.
I'm asking if there's any plans in place in the near future to amend the child diversion from its current state, where the child has to get in some problem with the law before they can participate in the child diversion program.
Very good question, Novadine. Up to Saturday, I was at a conference seminar with the Children's Advocate, where I indicated that the restriction now for whereby the child has to be referred by the police or the court, which means that they do get in trouble. So I've been discussing, and I will discuss further within the ministry, where if the child appears to be almost at a point where they will get into trouble and needs counseling, mentoring, or psychological assistance, that the guidance counselor or the parent, because some parents cannot manage their children, and what they do is to take the child to, to court, oftentimes to the police. No, we want to have the opportunity to widen the Child Diversion Act, where parents or a guidance counselor or the community can refer the child to the child diversion officer in the Justice Center. It will mean adding more child diversion officers to the centers, but it is a little price to pay if we can save and put a child on the right path. So it is something, Novadine, and thanks for raising it, that is under consideration, because we must be preventive rather than reactive. We don't wait until the child gets into trouble before we assist that child. Because the program now, once the child gets into trouble and has been referred by the judge or the police, it is 90% successful because the child has been redirected after counseling, mentoring, and in some cases, psychological support. So thank you very much for that question, and it is something we are looking into.
And at this point, before I go to the other raised hand, I want to make the plug again that yes, child diversion works. So you are JPs in promoting peace, in reaching our youth. You can volunteer to become a mentor under the child diversion program. So please visit our Ministry of Justice's website and download the application form to submit your interest to become a child diversion mentor. Our next raised hand is Leon Nash. If you're still interested, Leon Nash, can you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Right, to the minister and the members here. Just an advice I'd like you to provide for the Justice of the Peace. In the event that you're asking for all persons to become ambassadors for peace, in certain areas, where violence seemed to be the in thing. How do you suggest or advise justice of the peace to protect themselves or seek some level of protection in going in to assist the process of peace?
Well, Mr. Nash, first of all, I beg you, do not do the work of the police, okay? You're not a police officer, so I would not advise you to go into an area to quell violence, okay? So that if you think that there is any danger to you visiting an area, I would not advise you to do so. I know you would like to help that particular neighborhood or that particular street, but I would not advise you to go into an area unless you're accompanied by a few others or by the police, you know, to seek out how you can assist. But please do not endanger yourself where there's any possibility that you could be, you know, the parties might take their vengeance against you. So I would be careful. That's all I would say, Mr. Nash. Volunteer work doesn't mean you must endanger yourself, okay?
Thank you for that, Minister. We're going to take the last 3 raised hands because we have reached our 1 hour. It is now 6:32 p.m. and we have 724 JPs joining us. We thank you for staying with us and for posing your questions. So the last 3 questions, Mr. King, my friend and JP, you have waited patiently. You may go ahead and unmute your mic and post your comment or question.
Greetings. I was unable to find the raise hand button. That is why you heard me on the mic without being invited. Now, the Pulse program, to my best recollection, was introduced along with the SET program. It was called Sustaining the Environment and Tourism. And at the time was managed by, it was either TPD or TAP. And it sought to address the same issues that the Honorable Minister is alluding to. The thing is that we never have enough persons to do all of what we need to do. But I believe that the Pulse program, if instituted and managed in a targeted way, would be one of the solutions. I do believe that I heard a member.
One drop over it, push it under. Not ask you who. Not because of somebody that you know me say you can do it.
Hello?
And it doesn't
Miss
matter.
Corinne Davis, please mute your mic. Mr. King, can you continue? Sorry for that interruption. JPs, we are close to the end of the session. Please mute your mics. When you speak, you interrupt the presenter, and then we're not able to hear them.
Can you hear me?
Mr. King, continue. Yes, we can hear you.
I was trying to make the point that the Pulse program, which was, I believe, implemented to the best of my recollection by the TPD along with the SET program, was developed just for what we were speaking about. Although at the time it was more targeted to the tourism sector because of how the harassment was going and so on. But I believe that if this is implemented strategically in phases across the island, it would have the impact, the desired impact. That is my view. I'm a practitioner. I was the head of the resort patrol at the time, and we saw the mischief and so on happening. And we did see the difference, especially on the North Coast when that program was happening. The thing is that the children are the vessels, what should I say, the spectrum that interfaces with the parents, the grandparents, the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, and so on. And that is an excellent start. And I think that the funding and so on because it was already done, could be easily identified through the Tourism Enhancement Fund. That's my 2 cents. I thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. King, I will check and see why the program was discontinued and if it can be restarted, because I think the present crop of JPs would be ideal to really work on that program. So I will check on it, okay?
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Minister, just before we go to the last 2 persons, in the comment, someone, Dean White, is making a suggestion that we need to teach about the Constitution or perhaps law as a subject in schools from the primary school level. And Jean Dixon is asking whether we have any statistics on the single parent households, especially those without a father role.
I am sure there are data on the single family home and how many children were raised by a single parent. But I don't have it available, but I'm sure the Statistical Institute would have that sort of information. Certainly, you know, in relation to the first question was, what was it again? What was that first part, Julia?
The statistics about the single parent household.
No, that's the one I said. We're that is available. But
right, and the other point is to teach Constitution or law in schools from the primary level.
No, I'm not too sure. You see, the constitutional law is taught at the university level. I'm not too sure it is appropriate, you know, at the high school level, even though in sixth form, some of it is taught. But there's no doubt that the government has a duty to inform our citizens of their basic constitutional rights. And the ministry will now embark on a program where we will not only teach our citizens about constitutional law, but also their basic human rights that should be protected.
Thank you. Mr. David Allen, if you can go ahead and unmute your mic to pose your comment or question. David Allen.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Minister Chuck and everyone. Just a quick question and comment. I noticed the Restorative Justice program, very good program. There was an incident and I tried to expedite it by asking the police if a session could be in haste done to see how quickly we can reduce the kind of impact that the going through the court may have on the parties. And the officer suggested to me that it can't be done any other way. It has to go to the court, and then the court does what they need to do. But I'm thinking if the RJ session is done prior to, as a result of it taken to the court, I was thinking it probably could reduce the court time in terms of learning related to the issue and way forward, among other things. So
Mr. Allen, I'll ask Ms. Betancourt to respond because it is being done. Go ahead, Ms. Betancourt.
Thank you, Minister. The police is empowered to refer a matter to restorative justice long before the person is charged. So they already are empowered to do that and can make that referral in the instance that you mentioned. It does not have to go to the court to be referred to restorative justice. As a matter of fact, even from the community level, the referral can be made to RJ and we would handle the matter at the community level, even before it reaches the police station.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Most welcome.
Okay. Thank you for that. And our last raised hand acknowledgement is Elaine Brawls. Miss Elaine.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this very interesting session, which I caught very late because I was looking for an email in my inbox. I didn't see anything, and I had to check with a colleague, June Sachel, had to send me some information. So I missed the conversation, the presentations, etc. So I'm asking, please, if these presentations could be made available to us.
Yes, Miss Elaine, we had wanted to stream it via PBCJ this evening. However, we had some technical difficulty. So we will be placing the recording. We'll be doing the recording and placing it on our YouTube page for the Ministry of Justice. It is going to take a couple of days, but we do intend to have it posted by the latest next week. And of course, we will also provide the recordings to the custos, your custos, for the custos to circulate it to the JPs.
Great. But in that case, he could send it by email to us. But anyway, what I really wanted to do is to add to what Minister said. And by the way, he's doing a great job. And I appreciate these sessions because they really help us to participate more in what we really like to do. There is the District Consultative Committee, of which I am the president of the Matilda's Corner District Consultative Committee. We work very closely with the community, with the schools, with the churches, and of course with the police. But and that is a forum. I heard one of my colleagues speaking about treating the matter at the community level. And that has been happening in the District Consultative Committee. But unfortunately, the District Consultative Committees are not well known. We are doing a lot of work, but we are not well known. So I would like to know who at the Ministry of National Security, because there was a draft document done many years ago, and I have been getting questions from some of the citizens associations that form my committee about the status of that draft document. So I would be grateful if a look could be made at that draft document and a final document prepared, and the district consultative committees get some visibility. You know, I'd like to thank Minister. He was one of the speakers at our launch at the Police Commissioner's Office in 2022. But unfortunately, not many people seem to know about the district consultative committees, and we need to complete the document.
Mrs. Bros, it's something I recall, and I'm going to ask Minister Chang or personnel in the Ministry of National Security and Peace to look up that document, because it could be one of the avenues in the way going forward to promote peace in all the communities. So I will mention it to him and hope we can get that document done.
I must commend you on the work you are doing, but it is critical because we, the JPs, we are with the people, we are with the police, and we are with the children, and we are with the churches. So we have a wide perspective of what is happening, you know.
No, I'll try and see if we can get that document to you across the island, Mrs. Bros.
No, we have the draft document, you know. We need to finish the document.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Okay, so we are at the end, and so at the end of the session, I'm going to end with the last two comments in the chat. RFM, please note that we'll be posting the recordings on our YouTube website. So if you're still interested, you can get that, or you can get in touch with our public relations unit for them to facilitate access for the recordings. Jody K.
Sorry, Ms.
Loftus,
Blunt.
Minister, made the point that the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should collaborate with the Ministry, I think she meant the Ministry of National Security and Peace, to have a bi-weekly or monthly town hall meetings across all 14 parishes to get more communities aware and involved. That's one suggestion. The other suggestion that I'm ending the session with is from Roxy Nickel, who says, what drive will be done to remove JPs who continue to taint our work by asking for payment and are not approachable as part of our service to Jamaica? Minister, I don't know if you'd like to end in addressing that.
No, I won't really comment too much on it. Any JP who acts inappropriately, the custodians are doing a fantastic job. First, to speak to them, to warn them, and those who continue to act inappropriately, the custodians are recommending their decommissioning. So please, if you know of any GP acting inappropriately outside what is expected of them, kindly get in touch with your custos.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister Philibert. Thank you very much, Minister Chuck. Thank you very much, Mrs. Betancourt. I thank you most of all, JPs who have joined us, over 700 justices of the peace who have stayed with us. Till now, we're looking at still 700. Thank you for your comments in particular and suggestions, which the minister has taken note of. The interest in the PALS program, the interest in the youth in the schools. We thank you. We thank you for the points made in terms of civic being important. We thank you for accommodating us this evening. And so I would like to close off at 6:48 p.m. and say, Justices of the Peace, we look forward to engaging with you again, but with proper notice. And the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs appreciates the work and engagement and interest of all Justices of the Peace. Have a good evening. Take care.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.